Howdy folks, welcome to episode 27 of Bonfire Man. Here's how Bonfire Man works. I'm locked to specific chunks in the game. I have to interact with everything in my unlocked chunks exactly once. So that means every tree needs to be chopped, every enemy needs to die, every resource needs to be consumed. When I interact with something, it is exhausted. When something is exhausted, that means I'm not allowed to interact with it again. I'm allowed to randomly unlock a new chunk whenever all of the entities in my current chunks have been so exhausted. When I enter a new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, as in the Souls games. Resting at a bonfire refreshes or unexhausts all of the content in previous chunks that I've already been to. Now I have to exhaust all entities in both the old and new chunks to continue to progress. My objective is to unlock every chunk in RuneScape. According to my estimates, I think that's going to take about 10,000 hours to complete. If you're interested in all the specifics, minutiae, minor rules, exceptions, that kind of a thing, there's a Google Doc in the description that lists all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the playthrough. Okay, so we have an extremely hype chunk this cycle. Falador Farm can do a lot of farming now. We have lots of seeds saved up. Definitely a breakpoint gasm in that respect. Can also do Portion of Interest. Portion of Interest includes the ability to unlock Sour Hogs. Sour Hogs have a 1 in a lot chance to drop, I think it's like 1 in 55 chance to drop an Adamant Scimitar, which would be our new best in slot weapon. It's not a huge upgrade over the Adamant Sword, but it's a pretty big deal. And just lots of really great stuff. I think having Spria as a Slayer Master is going to be better than Vanaka, because Spria's tasks are primarily in chunks that we have access to. There's a couple really bad tasks we could get from her, but I still think that it's overall an upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and head to the chunk boundary to light the bonfire and everything, but I immediately have a bunch of other stuff that I need to do. We have a genie lamp left over from last episode that I would like to use on agility at the highest possible agility level. So I think we're going to go light the bonfire, immediately go do that, and I also would like to immediately complete my Calphite Slayer task back in the previous chunk in the Calphite Cave. So let's get to it. Oh, also, I think that this is going to institute a new season of the account. We've had no helmet, frog helmet, flower helmet, and now we're going to get to wear those reinforced goggles, which that's going to be fun. We'll see how long we wear those for until we get an interesting new piece of fashion headgear. Okay, here we are at the chunk boundary. Let's go ahead and cross the fog wall. Fantastic. And light the bonfire. And of course, rest at the bonfire to respawn everything. Sweet. All right, well, this is the Falador Farm. There's stuff I want to do here. I'm going to rake all these patches. I'm going to plant things in all these patches. I've got lots of plans for this place. And I'm going to go through all that, but let me get this agility stuff out of the way. Again, we're going to do rooftop course laps until a Mark of Grace spawns, and I can finish that lap, and we have to be done for the cycle, so we'll see how far that gets us. Last cycle, we got a Mark of Grace in like 2 laps, which was kind of unfortunate, so maybe it'll take slightly longer this time. Hey there, folks. Quick chat about objectives for this episode. Today we've unlocked chunk number 36, so we've unlocked about 7.52% of RuneScape. Taking a look at the map here, we have 100% completed all of the chunks in green. 100%ing a chunk means that we've exhausted everything in that chunk at least once before. 100%ing a chunk confers some benefits for some specific skill nodes. The short version is that when we complete a chunk, there's more to do with the nodes in that chunk. We get to chop all of these trees until they turn into stumps instead of just tapping them one time. We can mine 112 pure essence per cycle. We can pickpocket each of these NPCs 28 times each. Soon, anyway. We can fish the trout and pike spawns in Barbarian Village until they move. We can get 1 Mark of Grace per cycle at the North Draenor Agility course. We can buy out the entire shop stock at a few shops in the Ruins of Unka. We also don't have to exhaust everything in 100% completed chunks, so I'm mostly going to be skipping regular trees. There's a ton of them, they take forever to chop, and they give basically no XP. And right now I'm skipping the shooting star that spawns in Lumbered Swamp East because of a mistake I made a few cycles ago, as well as the shrimp/herring spawns there. So that's the summary of benefits for 100% completed chunks. This has not changed since last episode. Next up are quest blocked chunks. These are chunks that we cannot 100% complete because there is a quest that starts there. This is the same as last episode, except the new chunk we unlocked, Falador Farm, is blocked by a quest, Corsair's Curse. We need to roll several more chunks to be able to do that one. Skill blocked chunks can't be completed because our skill levels aren't high enough. Same as last episode again, we need a really high construction level to make master stashes. We need 55 mining to mine for mithril and 70 mining to mine for adamantite rocks. And we need 40 thieving to pickpocket guards. Before we leave the skills section here, this episode is where I'm going to institute a new rule for handling Slayer. I first introduced this concept back in episode 18, but this is the first episode where it will be relevant. I'm going to end up talking about it later in the episode, but the very short version is that we're going to change Slayer so that I can do one Slayer task per Slayer Master per cycle. During the Slayer task, any of the monsters that I'm required to kill are protected from exhaustion until the Slayer task ends. You're going to see the reason for this rule change later in the episode. Back to the objective summary, though. There are still no item-blocked chunks at the moment. And finally, we still have one chunk-blocked chunk. So the Soul Wars lobby, we can't finish it because there are trees on the west and eastern edges that we can't get to until we roll the chunks that are adjacent to it. That's everything for this episode. Not a lot of changes this time, but we'll see how things go today. Okay, this is our second lap. It's going to ding 16 agility. Can now use the nil shortcut. Okay. I'm hoping that the Mark of Grace is delayed at least long enough to get to 17, so should be possible after completing this lap plus the lamp, maybe. 17 means we can do the Al-Kharid rooftop course, which is massive for this account. Okay, so still no spawn there. We're a total of 4 laps in. Now it's spawned. But I am going to be able to complete the lap, which will get us to 17, which will let us use the agility potion. So I am not going to be able to run the Al-Kharid rooftop course until a Mark of Grace spawns. I believe our rule is we have to actually complete the chunk, show the chunk is complete, and then on the very next cycle we can start treating it as a depletable resource. So I don't think I have enough agility potion doses to be able to do that anyway. I'm going to have to naturally hit level 20 to be able to do it repeatedly. I am going to try really hard to keep a clean Irrit leaf on me to try to get one more agility potion to help with that. Yeah, that's agility 17. Absolutely incredible. I have a couple more things to do. I got to go in the direction of Al-Kharid anyway. So I'm going to deposit this Mark of Grace. I'm going to bring my agility potion with me. I have 2 doses left of it. So I'm going to do 1 lap of the Al-Kharid agility course, and then we're going to go do our 5 Kalphite Guardians, and I think it's 20 Kalphite Soldiers, which is going to be a little messy. I'm going to have to burn through a lot of these stews, but we'll get it done here. This is so sad. I didn't realize this, but I guess the Al-Kharid rooftop course, we are going to be able to complete it. However, Shadow of the Storm is a quest that starts in the Al-Kharid Palace chunk, so we're not actually going to be able to complete this chunk. It's going to be amazing when we can, because it's going to unlock all the shops in Al-Kharid are going to refresh, and I'll be able to buy those out every cycle for Giant's Foundry. But we have to wait until we unlock Uzer to be able to do Shadow of the Storm. So that's unfortunate. I'm going to have to miss out on Marks of Grace that spawn there until we manage to get Shadow of the Storm. I am still going to try to do 1 lap per cycle if possible, because it is a fairly significant amount of XP. Okay, so it would be pretty bad if we fail any part of this course, because I don't know that the agility boost is going to last long enough for us to get to the end of the course. So let's pray here that I'm able to complete a lap. I'm actually just going to record the whole thing. Also, we need to run. I don't know, and the roof got all screwy. That's funny. Never noticed that before. It's a recent glitch from having roofs turned off? Huh. Please don't fall. So far, so good. I think we might make it. I don't know if there's another place where we can fall at this point. Maybe this tightrope. Okay, mercifully we made it without falling. Medium task in the Lumbridge diary complete. Al-Kharid rooftop course done 1 time. Not enough XP to get another level up from a single lap, but still, that's a bunch of extra XP. I love how excited I am about, like, 780 XP. This is an insane amount when I was previously getting like 1 or 2, well, of order less than 10. I would usually get like 6 or so. If I go do the monkey bars, that's another 40. I'm not going to get enough XP to hit 18, so I'll go ahead and use my lamp now. Yeah, and that just gets us to 18 agility, which is a significant level because it's a multiple of 6, which means it increases our run energy restore. Which, remember, this account is lots of walking. I have to walk between everything all the time, even when I'm utilizing fungibility in some way. I'm still walking a lot, so getting a little bit of run restore is pretty huge. Next step, let's go fight these Calphites and get our asses kicked. I might actually stop back into Lumbridge really quick to cook my stews, so I have a full bank full of stews. I'm going to have to cook anyway because I'm going to run out of stews, so I'll just fight them, and when I run out of stews, then I'll go to Lumbridge and cook. I promise we're going to get to the new chunk that I'm so excited about, but I got to get this out of the way before I kill anything, in case the Slayer task we end up getting from Spria after doing Portion of Interest is one of the enemies in the newest chunk that we just unlocked. Looking pretty slick here. What a setup. All right, let's go fight these Calphites. Slayer level 27. Oh my goodness, I just got a Rune Med Helm from one of these Calphite Guardians. Finally got it from a Calphite Guardian of all things, despite all of the black demons and lesser demons. Pretty big upgrade there. Well, actually, it's an okay upgrade, but it is an upgrade, and I will take it. Very nice. Slayer 28. There's Slayer 29. Okay, task complete. Let's get out of here. I'm going to try to do Portion of Interest as quickly as possible, just to see what Slayer tasks I get from Spria after that. I think she can assign Sour Hogs. I should check that. She can assign Sour Hogs, but it's unfortunately pretty rare. All right, I already started Portion of Interest. I'm going to go talk to Sarah, and I'll come back once we finish it, I suppose. I clicked on her store by mistake, so I'm actually really excited that I can buy baskets and sacks here, because I can use those for protecting things. I can actually use them to protect oak trees so I don't have to babysit them, which would be really, really good. Glad to be doing this quest because now I can actually see the broken trees, right? Previously I couldn't chop them even though I couldn't tell that they were supposed to be broken. At least now I know which ones are broken. I do like this cutscene. Oh, there's a bronze scimitar that spawns in here. That's nice. Use that at the Giant's Foundry. Hey, just got these reinforced goggles. Looking nice. That will be our headgear for a while. It's goggles season. Alright, fighting the Sour Hog. Kicking its ass. No problem. Too easy. Excellent. So you get 5,000 coins returning in that quest, which I've never paid attention to. That's actually really impactful. Very nice. I'm not done yet. I have to go talk to Spria. I am excited to go in and kill all those Sour Hogs, but I'm going to wait until I've run out of Slayer tasks that I can do, you know. I looked it up, and I think Spria has 18 Slayer tasks that I can do and 4 that I can't do. And one of the 18 is bears, which would suck because I think I can only access like 2 bears. So if I got assigned 50 of them, I wouldn't complete it for a really long time. You do get enough points from turning this quest in to be able to do 1 skip. But I'm not yet sure whether I should use skips or how I should use skips. Portion of Interest complete. 1,000 Slayer XP, 30 Slayer reward points. Cool goggles. That's enough to get us to 29 Slayer. We'll take a Slayer task from her. Cave Slime. Sweet. That's one I can do. I'm going to go kill these Cave Slimes. I'm just going to stay on Slayer until I run out of... I no longer have enough enemies to finish doing Slayer, if that makes sense. About to hit Fishing 37. Yeah. Be nice when we can actually do the second tier of Eel, which I think is somewhat soon. Comes 30 Slayer. Now kill Pyre Fiends. That's not going to matter for any amount of time. 35 is the number we want, and I don't think we're going to see it. And task complete. Go see what's next. I might still try to do multiple of 10 tasks from Vanaka just to try to get the multiplier. Having more Slayer reward points and using them for skips or blocks could make it more possible for me to do Slayer indefinitely. I don't know how many blocks I'm going to have since I have so few quest points, but if I could actually block some of the tasks that I can't do, like Ice Fiends, I could get it to the point where every task Spria gives me is doable, and as long as I'm able to continue getting a small amount of Slayer XP each cycle, I think that's a big deal. Hey folks, it's Future Marsted. You know, I know I'd set up in the chunk objective summary there that going forward it's going to be one task per master per cycle, and here I'm doing multiple tasks in a row from Spria. I haven't hit the problematic task yet, so we are going to make up for this in the future in the same way I'm making up for the mistake with the shooting star. We're just going to skip Spria for several cycles until we make up for doing too many of her tasks in a single cycle. All right, next assignment, come on. Wolves, okay. Yeah, I can do that. I guess I'll kill the ones in the Stronghold of Security. I think desert wolves also count. Let me look up which one has more health. Yeah, the ones in the desert are worth more, so I'm going to start with them, and then I'll move to the ones in the Stronghold of Security when I run out. Ugh, I just got pulled through the chunk boundary by this... Ugthanki aggroed me while I was trying to fight one of these wolves. I think I am going to intentionally try to pull some of these wolves from over the boundary here. Just because I give way more XP than the ones in the Stronghold of Security, and then I have more wolves available in case I get assigned another one. So I'm going to come back with ranged here and try to range the rest of them if I can. But I mentioned that just to say that's why I have Desert Voyage unlocked. I got pulled over here. Okay, I was able to get a total of, this will be my 11th Desert Wolf if I attack over the chunk border. So I'm going to include that in my counts. I'll update my totals. That there's 4 technically in the chunk that are accessible, and then an extra 7 just outside the border if I use ranged attacks. So I'm going to pop over to the Stronghold of Security for the remaining 6. Here I'll use this little like shrine gate symbol to mean it's across the border, and I'll add it on the list as a possibility. Alright, task complete. Let's see what the next one is. I don't know how long I can stretch this out. Alright, what's our next task? Rats. Rats. I'm just keep doing this Slayer thing. 49 rats. I think there's 24 total. I think it's actually more than that. Let me double check. Because there's rats in chunks that I don't do anymore because I've completed the chunk. I could also finish up the task by killing regular rats, but I want to try to get as much XP out of each one as possible, you know? So there's 27 in the Lumbridge Swamp alone. So I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to move on to rats that are elsewhere. Oh, this is kind of awesome, actually. I have access to a total of 49 giant rats across all of my my chunks. So I'm going to be able to completely do this task using giant rats. I'm going to have to go on a tour of the whole game world, but I might be able to get away with this with Spria for a while. I mean, at any moment she could give me like a bear task or an ice demon task, in which case I'm screwed. But until then... I do have a decent number of chunks unlocked, and it's exciting to have her unlocked as a Slayer Master for this exact reason. Completely forgot that there are an additional 10 giant rats in the Stronghold of Security that are higher level too, so they're worth way more XP. Fortunately, there's not enough of them that I, neglected them too much. But I did kill a bunch of like level 3 giant rats that I probably could have left some of those off the list to squeeze a little bit more XP out here. Anyway, I'm going to try to track those down. Yeah, these guys over here, level 26 giant rats. Those are much higher than the level 6 ones I was just fighting. There's only 10 of them, though, so... can't get too much better than that. In fact, I think they're the highest level regular rats in the game. Alright, about to finish this rat task. I still have a handful of rats left that I didn't get to. Some in the wilderness, and the 3 in, like, southeast Varrock. Let's see if I can keep this train going. If we get to task number 10 somehow, like I said, I will go ahead and do that at Vinaka. I'm hoping for goblins. That would be a great task. Alright, here comes another assignment. Am I about to get screwed? Minotaurs. I am not screwed. Beautiful. I wish I had more necklaces of passage. That's really convenient. I don't have any jades. I had a couple uncut jades, but they got crushed last cycle. Got a quiz random. I was like 2 hours or something since my last random event. I shouldn't complain though after getting so many XP randoms. All right, mystery box. It's gonna be like a cabbage, right? It's a body rune. Task is about to be complete, and then I'm gonna go grab another one. Luck's gonna run out eventually. All right, here we go. Am I about to get screwed? Nope, skeletons. I think I can. This is gonna make me. I'm gonna spend so much time killing enemies that I've chosen to skip. Like skeletons, right? Like there's not all skeletons, but there's the really high level annoying skeletons in the bottom floor of the Stronghold of Security that I think I'm gonna have to go to just because they give so much more XP. I'll probably end up doing the same thing if I get ghosts, for example. Yeah, there's 26 total skeletons in the Stronghold of Security, some of which are as high as level 85, so it's going to be like fighting Onkos. It's going to be really annoying. I'm going to have to prayer flick them, but I'm going to go do it. I'm going to use this star icon. I'm making that anything that's like optional related to Slayer, since I've already used the skull to mean kill things. Slayer 31. My attack level got pretty high from using a spear earlier, so I'm trying to squeeze out a level really quick before switching back to strength. It's really annoying to keep aggro in here. There's the attack level up, 56, switching back to strength now. Task complete. That's task number 9, so now it's time for me to check Vinaka. This is potentially going to be really impactful. I could get a really bad Slayer task here and be hosed. But if I get the 10x task multiplier here and it's something that I can do, that'll give me enough points in the bank that I can make some educated decisions, hopefully, about using skips or blocks. So I'm really hopeful it's at least something we can do, even if it's hard to do, just so we can kind of have those points in the bank. All right, here we go. Cave crawlers. Oh my god. 106 cave crawlers? They're kidding, right? There's 3 in that cave. Are those the only ones in the whole game? Oh no. Hey, Future Marstead, here it is. This is where I'm going to have an existential crisis about the account and land on the new rule for Slayer. So if you want to hear me have that existential crisis, listen ahead. Otherwise, I put a time code in the description for after the crisis has ended and we've decided on the new rule. This could be bad. Okay, there's some in the Dorgish Khan South dungeon. I don't know that I'm unlocking that anytime soon, but there's still only like 5. And there's 8 in the Frenetic Slayer dungeon. Okay, so here's the issue with this Slayer task. This is almost worse than it just being a creature that I don't have access to. 106 cave crawlers. If I don't unlock another chunk that has access to cave crawlers, that's going to take 35 cycles. And let's say that it only ever takes me 20 hours to do a cycle instead of getting longer and longer over time. Realistically, it's going to get longer over time. But let's pretend it's going to be 20 hours a cycle. That means it's going to take me 706 hours to do this Slayer task. And I mean, I can do this. I can start killing them, but I can only do 3 per cycle. And I need to do Death to the Dorgishin to get access to 5 more, and I have to make it all the way to the Frenetic Cave to get access to more than that. So yeah, this is tricky. This is pretty bad. I have to think about how to resolve this. I mean, I can use my 1 skip, but it doesn't stop me from pulling it again. This might be one of the only tasks in the game that's like this. I feel like virtually all other tasks will give you something that there's a decent number of enemies, right? There was that bear task I mentioned, but even that would be like 50 bears, which is more reasonable. It's weird that they give you so many for how few spawns there are of this particular creature. Like I said, probably a minimum of 700 hours, probably more likely like 1,500 hours until I finish the Slayer task. It's very interesting because like looking at Spria's task list, like she'll give you cave slimes, but she will never give you more than 20 cave slimes. And that's one of the only tasks on her list that won't go up to 50. I think it's cave slimes go up to 20, cave bugs go up to 20, and minotaurs go up to 20. And there's significantly more than 20 of all of those creatures, even in just a single chunk, versus the literal 3 to a maximum of 16 cave crawlers in the entire game. I know I'm just standing here talking, but I'm trying to decide if there's a really long-term strategy that I have to take here to make this reasonable. Like, does it make sense for me to spend my 30 points to skip this task and then just only ever do Spria tasks from now on? She does have tasks that she could give me that I wouldn't be able to complete, like she gave me a dwarf or a dog task. I wouldn't be able to touch those. And she has other tasks that I could get stuck on for a while. Like if she gave me a bear task, that would potentially take dozens of cycles, depending on if I unlock more chunks with bears in them. I'm going to have to spend a lot of time considering this. Since that just happened, though, that means I can stop doing this PVM focus, and I'm going to go to the new chunk. We still haven't been there. How long have I been doing this now? 3 hours and 17 minutes. I'm going to head back to the Falador Farm, and we're going to do stuff in the new chunk, finally, other than the quest. Something I probably need to do is get an Expeditious Bracelet, the thing that lets you occasionally get a double kill on your Slayer task. That would help a little bit. It might take it from 700 hours to like 600 hours. But I have to get red topazes to make those, so. So I said a second ago that I'm going to move on from this. I'm obviously still at the Edgeville Bank. I don't know that I can, because I think that this is potentially existentially threatening to the account based on our, based on the Bonfire Man philosophy, right? This could happen again with this specific task. And even if we had the maximum number of creatures in the entire game available to us, we would be in big trouble. So I think I need to come up with some kind of solution or exception that specifically covers this case. But I don't think I can think about that while I'm still playing the game. So I'm going to sign off and think about it for a little bit, and I'll come back and give my ruling soon. So whatever solution I come up with is going to have to be elegant is the problem. And it can't only solve for this one cave crawler issue. I'm going to look through the Slayer task list to see if there are other creatures that are comparably dangerous, as in like the number of assigned creatures is significantly higher than the number of creatures that exist in the entire game world. If this was a one-time block, if after clearing this cave crawler task I was home free, and this would never be a problem ever again, I'd pass the breakpoint, it would be easy, I would say let's just do it. But because I could get this task again and be stuck for another 700 to 1500 hours, I think it violates the Bonfire Man philosophy of anything that like completely blocks progress, we have to rethink the rule for how it's restricted. So the solution I'm leaning toward is that if I have a Slayer task, I need to have access to the monster. If I don't have access to the monster in my chunk, I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. I'm not allowed to leave. I'm not allowed to go to chunks that I don't have access to. I would have to wait until I get the new chunk. I think that's an acceptable downside to the region lock, because eventually we would unlock the ability to do the task with enough progress. Even if Slayer stays locked for a long time, it won't be locked forever like it could potentially be with something like this cave crawler task. Hey folks, I'm back. It's the next day. I had to sleep on that and discuss it with my council of advisors, Chaos Factor, Troc, and Game Saucer. And I think I've arrived at a solution that I actually like better than the way I was doing Slayer previously. And I think it's more consistent with my Bonfire Man philosophy. So I'm going to show you a tracker spreadsheet I've added for Slayer here. This is all of the Slayer tasks we've gotten so far, and the chunk on which we got them, and how long it took us to do them, right? So we did Hill Giants as our first task, took from chunk 23 to 28. Then we got Cave Slimes, which we did on chunk 28. Also on chunk 28, we got Hill Giants, which took us until chunk 33. At 33, we got Calphites, but we were blocked. We weren't actually able to do it until we unlocked Shantae Pass on chunk 35. And then this is chunk 36, and we did 5 tasks in a row from Spria. We did 11 Cave Slimes, 17 Wolves, 49 Rats, 11 Minotaurs, 16 Skeletons, before pulling the 10th task, the problematic task, these 106 cave crawlers that we have to solve for now. I just realized I should add a task number on the left there. Okay, so the problem is that cave crawlers are a bad task for Bonfire Man because of the weird mechanics of the way Slayer works in this game. There's only 3 cave crawlers available to me right now. If I had the entire map unlocked, there wouldn't be that many more unlocked. I think it would be 13 more. And it could still take hundreds of hours for me to complete this. If that was a one-time block, if it was after 700 hours, I can just do Slayer again, no problem, I would just accept that and say, I guess I'm stuck, because that's how I'm handling a lot of other skills right now. But this could happen again easily. There are tons of other Slayer tasks where the size of the task does not correspond whatsoever to the actual number of enemies that exist in the game world. So that's problem one that we have to solve. Remember, as part of the Bonfire Man philosophy, we want to do as much content as possible. So a problem like this, effectively locking out a skill like Slayer, is going to block the quest cape. It's going to block lots and lots of stuff down the line. So I think it violates the philosophy in that respect. Also, and I hadn't considered this before, the way I was currently doing it of just getting a task from whichever Slayer Master was pretty degenerate and pretty similar to the way a real account does Slayer, right? You just use whatever your best Slayer Master is in perpetuity. You never use the older Slayer Masters except maybe Turiel for Turiel boosting. So I ran through a bunch of ideas with my advisors, and I wasn't really happy with most of them because most of them were really inelegant or complicated, and Chaos Factor came up with a good idea, and I like this. The idea is that instead of limiting the number of enemies per cycle when it comes to Slayer specifically, we limit the number of tasks per Slayer Master, right? So each cycle I can do exactly one full task from each Slayer Master that I have access to. That makes sure that I'm constantly seeing tasks and content from every Slayer Master, which should hopefully let us see some of the really weird Slayer tasks in the game, like Killer Watts and Molinisks that nobody sees, but also generally make it more exciting to unlock chunks that have more Slayer Masters that otherwise would be irrelevant by the time we run into them. So that's the concept for the rule. It's not based on the number of enemies that exist in the game world. It's based on Slayer Masters and Slayer tasks, which is kind of similar to the way we handle runecraft, construction, and farming, right? So how does enemy exhaustion work in that case? Well, the way it's going to work is that you can imagine that whatever Slayer task we get, all of the enemies on that Slayer task are protected from exhaustion for the duration of the Slayer task. So if we've got cave crawlers right now, I could go into the Lumbered Swamp Cave and I could kill those 3 cave crawlers over and over until the Slayer task is complete, and they don't exhaust until the task is complete. As flavor for that, I'm going to imagine, again, with the whole Dark Souls FromSoft stuff, I'm going to imagine that the Slayer Master is like ringing a magical summoning bell in the distance during a Slayer task to respawn all the enemies, since that there is a mechanic for enemies to respawn infinitely in the Souls series, and it's that they'll ring that bell until the task is complete, and I'll pull that sound effect like we have for Victory Achieved and the bonfire lighting and the fog wall and all that. I think that'll be cute. Couple notes: if I get a Slayer task for a monster that I can't access and I don't have enough points to skip it, I'm still SOL until we get a chunk that has that monster in it. I've always been fine with that because that's a break point that we can work toward, right? It's not a constant threat of a 700 plus hour progress block that could happen at any time. Eventually, when we get that monster that we weren't able to get to before, it's a breakpoint gasm. Now we can not only do that task, but start doing Slayer again. So especially as we start getting more and more Slayer Masters, the chance that we're going to be locked on a task that we can't complete is going to get higher and higher, which is fine. Like it adds an interesting value to the chunks on the map. This is going to increase the number of monsters that we can kill every cycle going forward, provided we have an active Slayer task and there is at least one enemy in our unlocked chunks that we can kill for that task. But part of the Bonfire Man philosophy is to prevent infinite resources, and these resources are not infinite, and they're certainly not controllable. I don't have a lot of control over which Slayer tasks I get, and I can only do one task per cycle. So in cases like this, I think this means that there are certain monsters where the Slayer task is going to be a really, really big deal. Even monsters that normally you wouldn't want a Slayer task for or wouldn't be efficient. If there's a rare drop that I want to get from them, getting a Slayer task lets me get way more kills in a cycle than normal. So like in the future, if we get a Hill Giant task or a Moss Giant task, that's a better task for me than it is for most people, because now I get significantly more chances at the Mossy key or the Giant key, right? Whereas a normal account could just farm those Giants as much as they like if they want those keys. So I think that this is elegant. I like this. I wish that I had come up with this much earlier, but as I keep saying, the rules need to be a little flexible over here because I didn't foresee this cave crawler task and really understand the time scope of the cave crawler task, right? If we had somehow gotten Spria in like episode 4 and gotten 106 cave crawlers, and I'm like, oh, it takes like 2 hours a cycle, that's not a big deal. But now realizing the reality that it's going to be like 20 plus hours a cycle from now on, I see that this has basically always been necessary. So this is why I have the spreadsheet on the screen. I want to show you the exact history of the tasks we've already done, because now we have to make up for not using this rule for the last 9 Slayer tasks. So I think all of the Vinaka Slayer tasks are kosher, simply because if we had always been following this rule, I could have done 1 Vinaka task per cycle, and we could have gotten here and no rules would have been broken, right? We would have gotten the first Hill Giants task back on chunk 23. I would have done all 66 right away, given that the Giants are protected from exhaustion, that the Slayer Master is ringing the bell or whatever. I would have had to have wait for chunk 24 to do Cave Slimes. Right, we would do all of Hill Giants in 23, and then Cave Slimes in 24. Then I would have had to wait for chunk 25 to do the next Hill Giants task. I would have done it all at once. And then I would have had to have waited for chunk 26 to get the Calphite task, which I would have been blocked on. And I would have been blocked for the same period. If I got that as my 4th task, I wouldn't have been able to do it until chunk 35 when we unlocked Shantae Pass. And then I would have been able to do all of the Calphites last cycle, instead of doing most of them last cycle and then finishing up the beginning of this cycle. And then I would have began this cycle after unlocking Falador Farm. I would have unlocked Spria. I would have taken her 1 task for Cave Slimes, and then I would have been, I should have been done with Spria at that point, right? I would have had gone straight to Vinaka. So the problem here is that, let me highlight them. The problem is that I did 4 more Spria tasks this cycle than I should have, because I didn't know that I was going to need this rule. So we're just going to resolve this the same way we're resolving the Shooting Stars problem. I'm 4 Spria tasks in debt. I have to skip Spria tasks for the next 4 cycles, and then I can start getting tasks from her again. I'm going to represent Slayer Masters with a bell. I really like this flavor of them having the monster resummoning bell. So I included this here. Spria is on the task list for North Draenor. I don't actually need to do Slayer tasks for chunk completion. They don't count for that. This is a completely separate mechanic. However, I do need to track whether or not I did her task for the chunk, and I added a little future maintenance thing that I have to skip Spria for the next 4 cycles. So right now we're on 0. Next cycle we skip her, it'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we can do Spria tasks again. I guess I should mark her complete here. I'm not going to mark this because we didn't skip her. For Vinaka, he's on the list too. We can do 1 Vinaka task, and I don't think we have to do any makeup for Vinaka, as I demonstrated from the spreadsheet. If we had been following this rule all along, this Cave Crawler's task from Vinaka would be our first Vinaka task for chunk 36. Yeah, we technically finished Calphites this cycle, but if I had been following this rule, we would have done it last cycle instead. So what this means, what this all boils down to, is that I can immediately go and do this Cave Crawler task. I can kill all of them, finish the task, turn it in, and I think I'm still allowed to see what the next task is to know if I'm going to be blocked. I can accept the assignment. I just can't go kill any of the monsters for it. So I think that's what I'm going to go do here. I'm going to gear up. We're going to fight Cave Crawlers until this task is done, see what that gets us to, and then talk to Vinaka to see what our task is going to be for next cycle and see if that blocks us on Slayer or not. It's basically an 11-minute live ramble, so hopefully I edited that way down, or I replaced it with the earlier ramble or something. But I needed to say it out loud for myself in the recording so that I know exactly what I'm doing. Let's go kill some Cave Crawlers. Cave Crawlers do suck pretty bad with their poison, but I think they're significantly less annoying overall than the Calphite Guardians, so I'm going to try to just fight them straight up with melee and a bunch of stews. If that ends up being bad, I can safe spot them. It's just they're annoying to safe spot. There's only like 1 place you can really trap them, and they don't tend to spawn in a convenient place for it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you the bell ringing. I guess the specifics, the minutia of the Slayer rule is that I do have to kill as many of the creatures available to me in the cycle before the bell will ring, and they'll all come back. This is part of the whole theming of not being degenerate, not going for just the Slayer monsters that give the most XP. So if I were using this bell rule correctly, in the previous cycle in chunk 35, Shantae Pass, I would have had to have killed all of the Calphites in the Calphite Cave. So all the workers, all the soldiers, all the guardians, and then the bell would ring and they would all respawn. So I couldn't just kill all 68 Calphites as the guardians to get as many guardian kills as possible, right? I think that's only fair. In this case, it's not going to terribly matter because there's just 3 crawlers, but I'll come in once all 3 are dead to play the bell sound effect, and we'll use that going forward. Oh god, I forgot these guys, their poison is like 8. I thought it was only as bad as the Kalphite Guardians. It's much worse. Alright, well, I'm probably going to have to safe spot them then. Oh my god, exam random. Okay, hold on. Kill this thing, please. I'm just going to throw this book directly onto agility, which will not give us a level up. 270, though. That's pretty amazing. Should set us up pretty well to get a agility level up to 19 next cycle. Alright, this is the last crawler killed. Now imagine, maybe I'll put a graphic on the screen. Vinaka shows up, rings a little summoning bell, ting ting ting, and they all come back unexhausted. And he's going to do that every time I kill a group of 3 from now on, but I'm not going to show you that 34 more times. Slayer 32. Mogers. You know, so I mentioned that I'm going to go get what my assignment is so I know it for the next episode, but I don't think I'm allowed to do that because if it assigns me a creature that I have to kill anyway... Oh, bronze boots. Nice. It's not an upgrade, but it's another thing for the collection log. Anyway, if they assign me an enemy that I have to kill anyway, say goblins, and I kill them, I'm going to end up progressing toward the Slayer task, and that's against the rules. So yeah, I think I'm only allowed to accept 1 assignment per cycle, which means we won't know if I'm going to be blocked on Slayer until the actual cycle begins. All right, we're at one last bell ring here to respawn the cave crawlers. Again, I wish that I could actually just hide entities instead of having to mark them that way, but imagine they're all coming back now, and I got 2 more to kill. All right, so last one killed. Task complete. You've completed 10 tasks and received 20 points for a total of 50, which is still only enough for 1 skip. Return to a Slayer Master. Yeah, so this is now our new rule going forward. 1 task per cycle. Here's the loot tracker for those cave crawlers. We got a total of 86 kills. Well, no, we got a total of 106 kills, but 20 of them didn't drop anything. And I think this just kind of reinforces that it really isn't that big of a deal. Once every 20 hours, I get to kill 100 cave crawlers and get a handful of herbs and crap. I don't think this is mind-blowing for the account. I don't even think the XP we got from it was particularly insane. 2,332 XP. I think it's a lot for Slayer, but you know, I think that this makes it more reasonable for Slayer to get some training from episode to episode, and that, you know, Monkey Madness 2 might actually be possible now with this rule adjustment, because we're generally ending the cycle with a really active skill like Strength getting 40k XP or Woodcutting getting 40k XP, and anything that's not at least getting in the thousands of XP reliably per cycle basically has no chance. So yeah, I'm pleased with this rule change. I think that it makes sense. Hopefully you were already expecting it. Okay, so let's actually do something in our new chunk. I'm 5 hours in and still haven't really looked at the newest chunk. Lots of other stuff to do. First thing I'm gonna do here, let me get some money from the bank before I run over here. I'm going to go to the farming shop. I'm going to buy some things like sacks and baskets. I can't complete this chunk right now because I can't do Corsair's Curse, so I have to keep track of how many items I buy from the shop because I will deplete it eventually. Fortunately, I think there are a lot of like 100 count packs of items like compost, so hopefully it'll last me long enough until I'm able to complete a chunk with a farming shop in it. But what I want to do right now is get enough materials to make what I need to protect tomatoes, and then plant tomatoes. And my reason for that is then I can make baskets of tomatoes that I can turn in as protection for trees. And once I have trees growing, I can do 2 for this cycle, and I really don't want to have to babysit them. I think I'm just going to end up buying 1 of each. I'm going to buy a compost pack, which is pretty expensive. I think that's like 2,000 coins. Yeah. So 1 compost pack, 1 sack pack, 1 basket pack, and I don't think I need the empty bucket pack. I might take the plant pot pack. We want secateurs. That's kind of what's been blocking us for a long time here. And I think I'm set on everything else. So let me update my spreadsheet tracker with that real quick. And just a reminder, since we haven't done farming in some time, the Bonfire Man rules for farming are that I can plant each kind of seed in each kind of patch that I have once each per cycle. So I can plant each herb seed that I have in that herb patch. I can plant each allotment seed I have in both allotment patches, and each flower seed that I have in the flower patch. I can also do the compost bin once per cycle, so I'm going to gather the stuff together to do that. Fortunately, this patch has like 80 cabbages in it or something, or the new chunk we just got has 80 cabbages, so I can start using those to make what I need to protect tomatoes, but I did start collecting cabbages from other chunks in anticipation of this, so I should be able to right away make 4 sacks of cabbages, which I'll use to plant 2 sets of tomatoes. I need those to protect my trees. It's really cool. This is a great breakpoint gasm. I have lots of seeds we've been building up, 79 tomato seeds, so I should be able to plant tomatoes every cycle, and we're going to be doing all of this every cycle, so get used to it. Take my seeds with me. I'm going to take some of my weeds because I want to get compost going. I've been saving my weeds diligently. 395 that I can finally use. I don't think I want to plant anything else in there until I've gotten as much farming XP as I can out of this cycle, because I want to maximize the chance that, 1, that they're not going to get diseased, and 2, that I'm going to get as much yield as possible to increase the XP I get from each of these patches. So I'm going to start with tomatoes, and then we'll do trees, and then we'll do everything else, basically. All right, first time ever doing a compost bin. I'm hoping, I don't think I'm going to be quite... This is Future Marsted dubbing here. I was dumbfounded by this and couldn't talk. I'm a pretty small content creator. Y'all see I get like, hundreds, maybe 1,000 views on my best videos, but someone actually recognized me in game. So shout out to Fool's Coal. Hi. First ever compost bin complete here. That's quite cool. Let's do the tomatoes now. I don't think I'm going to be even on compost. I don't think I'm going to generate enough compost per cycle to pay for all of my composting needs, but I will be able to do a little bit of that. Okay, I've paid to protect both patches, and they're both composted, so I'm actually going to step away for a second and come back. Hopefully I'll be able to harvest them, and then immediately go get my trees planted. Okay, I'm back, and it's time to harvest. First ever tomatoes. I feel like very few people harvest some of these shitty allotments, so it's kind of exciting to be doing this every cycle from now on. It's good. I think I need 20 tomatoes total for protection. Oh, disregard. I guess a basket of tomatoes is only 5, not 10 tomatoes. So yeah, that's 3 trees right there. As long as I'm getting at least 10 per cycle, I can pay for protecting trees that cycle. I guess I already had 25 tomatoes in the bank from picking up the one in Aggie's house. I have a total of 6 oak saplings to plant, and I want to try delaying doing significant farming until I've planted all of them, just so that my farming level is as high as possible. I guess I didn't need to harvest those tomatoes. I could have used the ones I had in my bank, but I wanted to be on the safe side and start like building a stash of them for future cycles. Okay, planting my first ever oak tree and paying to protect it. Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna go do the other one in Varrock now. Okay, cool. Both trees have been planted. All right, I'm about to harvest my first ever oak tree. Let's check health. 467 XP, farming level 25. You can now grow woad plants. Cool. Go grab the other one. I'm not going to bother chopping it down for now. I'll wait until I have another one to plant next cycle. Managed to buy my planks for the cycle and do a quick bit of construction training. 1440 XP is the max I can do on a trip. Let's check the health in this oak, which is not going to get me a level up. Okay. I guess I was thinking about saving all my allotment seeds for future cycles once I have a little bit more farming XP, but I have so many allotment seeds for some of the shittier plants like potatoes that I should just go ahead and plant them. So I'm going to head over there and do that now. All right, harvesting compost for the first time on the account. Also, going forward, I'm going to, since I let these weeds regrow, I'm going to go ahead and re-rake them, but I just will skip raking the bush and hops patch to make up for it. I'll try to be more careful about that going forward. All right, compost bin done. I'm going to plant marigolds, potato seeds, and a marantil seed. Just hit farming 26 from raking and planting and applying compost. Can now grow limpwort and harelander. So being able to grow limpwort's important. I might actually make some anti-poisons then if I'm able to get a decent number of them. We'll see. Probably should save limpworts for herblore training though, as far away as that is. Okay, well, now we're coming up on 6 hours into the chunk. I'm going to start working on actually trying to complete the new chunk. We're going to chop trees. I'm going to pick up all 83 of these cabbages, all that fun stuff. I'll report back. I don't know if you knew this, but this specific tool leprechaun refuses to note these cabbages. This whole farm stinks of cabbage. Take it away and get it exchanged somewhere else. Guess maybe to discourage bots from botting these cabbages back here? I don't know. Okay, cabbages collected. Having sacks makes this a lot easier. I'm going to use that later for potato gathering. Actually, real quick, since I'm not going to be doing any more Slayer this cycle, let me go kill all the sour hogs. Maybe we can get a lucky adamant scimitar. That'd be really nice. Seriously, looking really cool. I really like these goggles. Hopefully we get to wear them for a while. So I haven't actually ever fought these outside of the quests. Interested to see how they are. They're very easy and don't require protection prayers, so that's nice. Show you their drop table over here. Adamant scimitars at 1 in 55, which isn't too bad. Should be able to get that in like fewer than 10 cycles, I hope. Eddie Kite Shield is 1 in 110, so quite a bit rarer, but that's also best in slot for me right now. Everything else is seeds, which would be nice. The rare drop table would be nice, but this is what we're dreaming for right now. It's weird that that bronze scimitar from the quest doesn't spawn in the cave afterward. There are a handful of item spawns here, some regular bones and cabbages. I'm going to pick all those up so that we can mark this chunk complete, although I am probably going to kill these guys every cycle, at least until I get the shield and scimitar drops. It might be worth continuing to kill them after that, just for all of the seed drops that they have. So that's my first 8 sour hogs, nothing good, sadly. Alright, one more cabbage to pick up, and then the chunk is 100% complete. We've had this unlocked for a really long time, and I'm unable to do it. There it is, victory achieved. Cool stuff. I'm going to bank and go check on my plants now. I'm going to go ahead and start Corsair Curse. I can't do anything with it. Unfortunately, Person of Interest was 1 quest point, so I'm 1 away from having enough to do Last Man Standing without getting a high total level. Maybe next cycle we'll get another quest point somewhere. Showing me the Remington chunk, but I don't think it's sending me there, blessedly. I should just go ahead and start all the quests that I can start. Help me to keep track of everything better. That's as far as I can go with that. Okay, all the trees are done. Working now on cows and chickens. Oh, I forgot to add a task for petting the dog. Pet the dog. Nice. That dog is the good doggy. This is important. I can technically just barely make it into Falador now in this tiny little 1-tile corner. So this chunk over here, which was previously a really bad chunk, I didn't want to roll it because I'd only be able to get to this side. I can actually get into Falador now. And that's actually a significant amount of content if we roll this, so I'll update that in the chunk picker later. Okay, we're here. It looks like my Marintil and my potatoes all grew. I guess Marigold protects potatoes, onions, and tomatoes, so I can try to take advantage of that going forward rather than replacing it. I'll just leave it in there for a while. All right, the new chunk Falador Farm is as done as it's going to be for now since I can't do Corsair Curse. I'm not going to bother with the critters until I'm actually able to complete it. Pretty good chunk. Pretty exciting. I'm going to keep coming back and managing these allotments. Might do something eventually with the herbs, but I feel like I have to babysit that a little bit too closely. We'll see. Hey folks, I just spent a bunch of time making a new spreadsheet tab, and I'd like to share it with you real quick. Here's what it looks like. This is my skilling tab. I have one for combat, but this is for skilling. These are all the nodes that I have access to. And I've gone through to each chunk here. Yellow chunk means that, or gold chunk means that it's completed. Purple means it's not. And populated these. So just to be able to read this, this is just the count of regular trees and oaks and so on. If it has a little infinity emoji next to it, that means that because it's in a completed chunk, it's a depletable thing. Now the reason I did this is I want to know how many oaks in the game I can deplete. I'll explain why in a second, but this will help me to kind of keep track of the fact that I'm doing all of this properly from cycle to cycle, and I should be able to figure out whether I'm doing this right by looking at the bank memory plugin. If I look at my before and after for 34 and 35, that should give me a sanity check if I were to type in, you know, oak, for example. Yeah. So I came out net down by 2 oak logs, and the reason for that is I turned all of my oak logs into oak planks, and I'm now only getting enough oaks per cycle. Let me scroll this up. I'm only getting, if I look at my totals all the way over here, 97 oaks per cycle, and I think I end up using like 99 oaks in construction training. So this is the first time that's become a problem. But basically, I have the ability to total all of the things that I'm able to deplete each cycle, how many regular oaks I should get just from the single exhaustions, how much wheat I could potentially get if I wanted to. I'm never going to do that, but I could get 765 wheat per cycle. Potato, I think I can compare and show that that's correct, right? If I say potato, oh, I guess I use some for making stews. That screws that up. But I came out 49 ahead despite the ones I used on stews, so that's nice. Onion, maybe? There we go. Yeah, 12 onions versus, you can see there, 12 onions. Anyway, that's my new sheet that I have. I'm using it for tracking. The thing that I wanted to bring up, and the reason I'm bringing it up here, is to show that there are 56 oak trees that I haven't been including in my lists because I didn't really need oak logs up until now. There's 11 in North Draenor, 4 in the Lumbridge Mill, 3 in the Grand Exchange, 8 in Barbarian Village, 15 in the Lumberyard, 2 in Varrock Ditch, 1 in the Wizard Tower, 4 at Groat's Farm, and 8 at Ham Hideout. Between all of those, I can deplete all of them. And I'm not going to do that every single cycle because I don't need that much oak, but I need some oak. Okay, I finished depleting 56 oak trees. I'm going to go finish banking and I'll report back how many logs I have. Just went on a tour. All right, so we have to exclude the 18 oaks that we got from the Falador Farm because those weren't depleted. And I have to exclude the number I started with. Right, so I got about 511 oak logs out of that. And that's pretty close to what I expect to get. Let me show you the sheet again. I made a deplete chance calculator here. Here's the sheet. You can see the highlighted row. I expect to have 56 oaks. There's a 1 in 8 chance to deplete the oak, so on average I should get 8 logs per oak. 56 times 8 is 448 logs, so I did a little bit better than average, but close to average. It'll be my way to sanity check that I didn't like make a mistake or something. I'm probably not going to do that every cycle going forward, but it was convenient to do now. 70 wood cutting. First level 70 skill, and our first skill that qualifies for the quest cape. So that's exciting. We'll be about to ding 51 mining here. We got 4 levels left to go until Mithril. There it is. 51 mining. Updated my counts a little bit here. I previously had 27 trees I could chop in the Soul Wars lobby. Since most of these are inaccessible, it's up to 29 now because I can get down below some of these areas. Not a big change, but I want to make sure my accounts are right. I'm going to update that in the spreadsheet, and I think I'm going to do some games of Soul Wars really quick until I get past 60 points. All right, first game I got 37 zeal. Oh, pretty middling. See how we do on the second game. Round's about to end on time. I buried a ton of bones and used a bunch of soul fragments, but still only got 29 zeal. That's enough that I'm done, though. That's all I can get away with. Sadly, that puts me 4 short of being able to get 3 boxes. All right, got 2 boxes here. These are potentially really impactful. The thing I want most by far is coal, so hopefully we get some here. Another 196 rune arrows, 194 nature runes is going to be pretty big. I'm going to need those to actually alch the rune arrows once I get access to alchs. And some lobsters, I guess. And one more. Oh, 330 adamant bolts. Another 4,539 pure essence. I guess the pure essence is totally inconsequential, but the 285 death runes are a pretty big deal. So still no coal, but still quite good. So I actually have 503 nature runes and now a stack of 580 rune arrows. I feel like just the magic XP from alching those is going to be worth it, let alone the money. I'm 2 magic levels away from 55, and I have been saving all these mind runes. So I might try to do some magic just to see if I can squeeze out 55 using mind, chaos, and death runes. If I can get to 55, then I might just sit and AFK alch all those rune arrows, which should help with the cash stack a little bit, but also get us a few more magic levels, which should help with magic defense. Just hit strength 68. I need 1 more level to get to 69. Nice. Then I can switch to attack and defense, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. I'm currently having accuracy issues with a lot of enemies, and just having a little bit better attack would be great. But I do think it makes sense to wait until then. Oh my goodness, it's the Beekeeper random. Maybe I'll get some flax. I think I still need to finish the outfit first. Beekeeper's boots. That mercifully is the last beekeeper piece, so I should be getting flax from now on, I think. Fletching 53. Can I make a toxic blowpipe? That'd be nice. That's almost entirely from fletching arrow shafts for a measly 5 XP apiece. Okay, all the wood cutting is done for the cycle. All the mining is done for the cycle. It's time to do PDM. I am going to try to level magic. My objective is to get to 55 for high level alchemy. I have 400 chaos runes and 700 death runes, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get me there. I don't want to spend runes too much explicitly on training, like especially high runes like death runes. I want to try to save for quests and stuff and difficult bosses like Bryophyta. But for now, I need to get 55. Just hit magic 54, one more level to go. I'm trying to use it on enemies that are annoying to safe spot. Okay, so I've done a pretty good job on magic. I should be able to hit 55 on this unicorn here. There it is, 55 magic. Now cast high level alchemy. And I think I'm going to sit and do that really quick. I need to be a little AFK. I mean, I know it's not AFK, but I do have a foot pedal, so I can sit and note all of those rune arrows. Okay, here's our first ever cast of high level alchemy. Nice. 240 coins each. Solid amount of magic XP. I don't think we're even going to get a single magic level from this, but that's okay. I'm actually mostly here for the money. Never mind, I did get a level up. 56 magic. Okay, thank you, foot pedal. Finished alching everything. 115,000 coins, which is my first time going over 100k on the account. 146k with everything else banked. That's pretty good. I don't really have any rooms to build in the POH right now. I guess I could attempt to build every single room, but part of the reason I'm not building some of the rooms I have access to is that there aren't any really interesting furniture pieces to put in there, and it's probably not worth the gold if I can build like one thing with 2 oak planks. That doesn't make a huge difference from cycle to cycle. And I'm not going to be able to build anything new, I guess, until the portal chamber, and the portal chamber is not going to be viable because I don't have hundreds of law runes to build any portals. It might be in the future, though. So it's good to have this cash stack available. I don't know exactly what I'm going to spend it on just yet. It might make sense to start dumping some of this into feather packs. I need to figure out how far I can make those stretch. Because remember, I have 211k arrow shafts, which I would love to actually turn into headless arrows for some fletching XP. Let me research that really quick. So if I wanted to turn literally all of my arrow shafts into headless arrows, that would be 422k. So I can definitely go overboard in terms of purchasing feathers. I can't think of anything else that's really compelling to throw money on right now. I guess I can just hold on to it and keep thinking about it. Maybe it'll change. If I get more access to things, if I'm able to get into the Champions Guild, for example, there's stuff I'm going to want to buy from that shop. So I'll sit on it for now, but I might start trying to buy out the shop stock of feathers. Let me see what it would cost me to just buy out the stock once per cycle, because that's different from buying 211k feathers. That's actually only like 10k. I think I should actually start doing that then. Shantae Pass shop / Ruins of Uncus shop. Gonna try to buy all of the feather packs once per cycle while I have over 100k. When I dip below 100k, I'll stop doing it and save my money. I consider that my like zero balance. Well, I finally got the Adamant Medhelm drop from Catablepins. A little too late. About to hit range 58. I was already in here using range for the heck of it. Probably gonna switch back to melee now that I hit that. Although I only have a couple more of these flesh crawlers to kill, so I may as well finish them up first. Fishing 38. I finished doing fly fishing, now I'm doing pike fishing. 38 I think actually lets me catch the cave eels? Let me double check that. Yeah, that is 38, although it's not a different kind of bait, so I'm just SOL for this cycle because I already did my fishing there. There's Cooking 54, just restocking on stews here. Just got yet another genie. Couldn't come off record because I was prayer flicking. Let's put it on agility, which I think is going to make us ding 19. No reason to hold on to it. I'm just going to use it, I think. 19 agility. Should help with boosting at the Alcarid course next cycle. About to hit hit points level 64. There it is. Hit points levels are very rare now. All right, back at the new farming patch. Gonna harvest the onions. I'm probably just gonna leave the marigolds because they protect 3 allotments. Technically I can plant rosemary to protect stuff too, but I'm not gonna stress about it too much. I'm gonna plant this pteronin though, and I'm gonna try to baby it. I don't know that I'm actually gonna be able to, but I'll give it an honest try, I suppose. All right, new bunch of stuff planted. Cabbages and pteronin. I'll come back to look at it in a bit. Just got some diseased cabbages. I'm gonna go ahead and harvest. Oof, owie. Both of my sweet corns died. I might need to wait to plant sweet corn until I can make scarecrows, which is going to require me to get access to watermelons. I don't think I can afford to have these die. It's pretty brutal. It's like 6 seeds out of a very small number of seeds. So I will stop planting sweet corn. I'm probably not going to plant this Harlander either until I know I can babysit herbs a little bit better. I don't really need them at the moment. I'm doing okay on farming XP. There's nothing pressing about it. I guess the reason to do lots of farming now is because if I don't do lots of it now, I might regret it later when I only have limited cycles to do it. But we'll see. I'll try to do some amount of protected farming at this patch going forward, just to try to get as high as we can with this. I should be able to get reasonably high, planting one of each kind of plant in each patch. All right, about to hit thieving 36, and man, I think I did a calculation, and it's going to be like 9 more cycles until I get to be able to pickpocket guards. I really hope we get some kind of thieving breakthrough. I've been continuing on my current rule set for thieving for so long. There's 36 thieving. It is becoming obvious that the amount of thieving XP that's available is extremely bad, and there's very little content in the game world that can fix that. All right, about to get a construction level up. I do want to get to 55 construction to be able to repair my damaged armors that I've gotten from ham guards. I've done this so many times and I hate it. Like, I really thought I had the necklace equipped. I put it right next to my talismans. I got a fire talisman from Dark Wizards. Forgot the binding necklace and got way less runecraft XP as a result. I would already be 35 if I hadn't made those mistakes. It's so punishing. All right, went ahead and bought 5,000 feathers. I'm going to try to do that every cycle from now on. It's going to take a really long time for me to get enough feathers to use all of my arrow shafts just from Shantae Pass feathers, but it's going to be fletching XP, which I need, and I've got the money for it now, so it seems worth it. Here comes a farming level up. Farming 27. Apple trees. If I unlock one, that's good. I just did my lava runes. I guess 35 runecraft isn't as exciting as I thought because I need a chaos talisman to do anything with it. And the place I'm most likely to get a chaos talisman is the Abyss. And once I get the Abyss, I can do Temple of the Mind anyway, or Temple of the Eye. Just heading to wrap up the cycle, and I got a Beekeeper random, which should be my first ever flax. I am so pumped for this. I can't tell you. Here we go. Oh my god, there was another piece. It's fine. God damn it. Just make sure there's not another one that I'm forgetting. Okay. I now have every random event costume piece except for the steel baguette. Next time I'm gonna get flax. Ugh. Alright, I finally get my little reward at the end of a cycle. We get to do some Giant's Foundry. Don't know how many swords I can make. I think I can make more than... I probably can make 4, would be my guess, but let me actually do the math here. Oh my gosh, I can make 5 this time. That's unprecedented. Alright, well, I'm gonna do that. Character looks so cool. Really like those goggles. Don't think I'm going to report on every sword anymore. I think I'll probably just give you the summary. It doesn't change terribly much, but I will report here because I'm about to hit 59, I think. 179 away from 59. I'll get it soon, though. Oh, this is bad. I really want the mold that I can buy at 59 smithing for this specific commission. Oh, no. I'm trying to think if there's any way I can squeeze out a little bit more smithing XP. Well, for a lot of reasons, I need to make a mithril crossbow grapple tip anyway, and I can use a dwarven stout to boost to that. So I'll make one of those. Gets me 50 XP. I need 179 though. Ugh. I could also make something that I'm going to recycle back into it. I lose 1 bar in the process, but that might get me just enough XP to make it. So if I do a mithril warhammer, I think we'll be okay. I'm going to try that. Okay, drink the grog. Hopefully I get more of this. Let's make a warhammer. And now let's make grapple tip. Okay, Smithing 59. Okay, buying the level 59 mold. I've gotten all terrible commissions. I got Broad Light twice, which is a really bad one. Fortunately, that was the mold that I went for early. This Claymore Blade is decent for it, but still, this is probably my worst cycle in terms of molds. I've been doing this just divide your bars up evenly strategy for several cycles now, and I'm increasingly worried that it might not actually be the right way to do things. It's so hard to tell what's actually correct because the molds add so much randomness to the whole thing. Possibly starting next cycle, I'm going to try to just do the traditional 14-14 alloys, right, instead of trying to mix everything in constantly. We should hit 60 smithing next cycle, which is going to be another mold, so that's nice. Okay, we're done with the cycle. Let me give you the summary and we'll roll a new chunk. So first things first, let's do the task scroll. Probably going to replace these with a bell icon. I'm going to use bell to mean slayer, like ringing the bell to respawn them on a slayer task. Now that that rule has formally been deployed. I have marked North Drainer. I've added this task. It won't start until next cycle, but we have to not do Spria tasks for 4 cycles starting next cycle. I don't know how I screwed this up. I fixed cow calves, but I somehow accidentally killed like 4 extra cows. I don't know if I must have had a brain fart or I failed to tag a bunch of cows. I know I was doing cows while I was on the phone, so I may have been not paying as close attention, but we'll fix it next cycle. I'll kill 4 fewer cows. I did buy out 1,000 bronze nails. I'm going to do that in 5,000 feathers every cycle, I think, for a little while. Now that I don't have anything else more pressing to put money on. Did not complete Al Kharid Palace, sadly, because of Shadow of the Storm, so we have to get Oozer to do that. We only have one more cycle of skipping the Shooting Star and tapping out these fishing nodes before we can do the Shooting Star again. So let me go ahead and update that to 4 out of 4. Okay, that's added in. We will be able to start what lies below. I don't know if that actually helps us or if we literally need the Chaos Talisman to progress it, but once we get to 35 Runecraft, that is. So I'll have one more cycle of skipping the giant frogs. And that's everybody from the task section. Supplies used. Quite a lot. Used a lot of runes. Used a lot of ammo. See this as a good thing, honestly. Loot tracker. Slow scroll. Here we go. There's that cow mistake I made. I think that's probably the biggest one on this list. I don't think I remembered screwing anything else up. That's our drops. Let's look at XP. Believe it or not, this is the actual true XP gained. I managed to squeeze it in. It's Tuesday night right now, so I was trying to finish before the system update Wednesday morning. So yeah, we get about 350k XP across all skills per cycle. Not good. Not good given how long that took. Live split timer, let me pause it here. I should have paused it a few minutes ago. It was just shy of 27 hours. Now, a lot of that was doing all those Slayer tasks that, in retrospect, I should not have been doing, but that's okay. Speaking of Slayer tasks, I probably quickly scrolled past it. 86 cave crawlers. I'm going to list the extra 83. I'm just going to start tracking that. That was because of a Slayer task, and that's why they were respawning. So that'll be in excess of our normal expected count, but it was because of the Vanaka Slayer task that we could do it. These counts, I'm really excited to finally hit 69 strength next episode. Nice. We've been on strength for a really long time now, and when we get to 69, we'll finally be able to switch to attack and defense without losing a max hit. And I intend to take attack and defense pretty high. My objective was to get attack to strength -7 and defense strength -14, but I might try to even take them further or even match strength because I hate missing. It feels really bad, and there are certain high defense enemies that I'm just fighting forever, so maybe the defense can stay behind, but I might want to catch up attack more than just 69 -7. So that's a big level I'm excited about. Probably not going to touch magic for a while. I guess I'll continue to alch rune arrows if I get them from Soul Wars. 60 smithing is going to be good for the next mold. The next Slayer level we want is 35. Unless I don't think we're going to get it with Vanaka tasks. It's going to take a while. Maybe once we get the Spria tasks back. That'll be wall beasts we'll finally be able to kill. 55, or technically 53 construction is what I'm hoping for. 55 mining is still a long ways away. We're getting lots of farming XP now. I hope we can get 20 agility next cycle. I think it's going to require that we get another random event for it to be possible, though, because I'm going to get like 120 XP from doing the Drainer course and not much more from doing the Alkarid course with my last agility potion boost. Sadly, I did screw up. I was trying to hold an Irit Leaf on me and got Dr. Jekyll twice in this last cycle. There's another one on here somewhere. Yeah, Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Jekyll, and I didn't have the herb on me at that exact moment. I would like to try to get one more boost potion, though. Thieving 40 is one of the biggest breakpoints in this account right now. It's going to take like 9 cycles to get there, but when we get there, it unlocks. There's so many chunks that are not able to be 100% completed due to not being able to pickpocket guards. So really, really want that. That'll be important. And 35 runecraft that I've talked about quite a bit. Let's take a look at the bank. Yes, total time played 16 days, 10 hours. Bank, lots of new stuff. Rune Medhelm and Adamant Medhelm. These cool reinforced goggles, bronze boots, secateurs, bunch of farming equipment, curry tree seed, adamant bolts that I probably won't get to use for a long time, but those will be nice when I can use them. A couple beekeeper pieces, this mithril grapple tip. Forgot to use this iron battle axe in Giant's Foundry, but that's okay. And we'll slow scroll the bank here. This mithril ore stack is getting quite nice. We got to get the coal for it, though. We got to get 4 times as much coal to do anything with that. Really praying for just one coal drop at Soul Wars. It's going to be really good. And I already did the bank save, so let's compare those. And slow scroll. Still coming out ahead on law runes, even with all the teleporting to train construction. Lots of bunny. That's really good to see. I'm happy to see that. Yeah, that's everybody. All right, let's roll a new chunk. Let's go. Hey folks, it's slightly future Marstead from after the chunk picker, but before starting the next episode, I always do a sanity check on the loot logger to make sure that I correctly killed the right number of enemies, and I did miss a couple, so I'm going to go knock those out really quick before we start the next episode. I'm just going to stitch this into the video before the chunk roller. It's 2 barbarians and 1 zombie that I missed somehow. All right, there we go. You can see them in the loot tracker there. 1 zombie, 2 barbarians. It didn't update the full loot tracker because I'd already cleared it by the time I caught the issue. So anyway, back to the chunk picker. All right, same old, same old. You've heard me talk about all these chunks before. Thumbs up means good. Thumbs down means bad. Skull means really bad. Heart, star, or crown with bronze, silver, or gold. I want it. I want it more than the thumbs up. And anything that has a die roll on it means that if we roll that chunk, we get to go do it and then re-roll right away without having to light the bonfire. New chunks to talk about. This isn't a new chunk, but it's been recontextualized. There is 1 tile of gap in this wall, and I can fit into Falador. If we roll this, this would be great now instead of bad. We get Motherlode Mine if we get in there. It's probably the most exciting thing, but lots of other cool stuff. So I would be very excited to get this chunk. This chunk has the Air Altar, which did more, and also Malignius Mortifer and the guys he summons all drop elemental talismans pretty regularly. So I guess this isn't the most exciting chunk, but I would like to get the Air Altar finally. Port Serum is probably tied with the Enter the Abyss chunk for my most wanted. There's just so much content there. There's another magic shop, which should be really good to be able to buy out another magic shop stock. There's a bunch of new locations it opens on the map. That would be super swell. So hoping to get Port Sarim for real this time, since when I rolled it before, I did not get it. Now, somebody commented, hey, when you rolled Port Sarim, you could technically get into this little sliver. And I think I just have to make a general rule. I probably talked about this in previous episodes, but like, if it represents, you know, less than 5% of the chunk, or it's such a small percentage of the chunk that there's nothing to do there, I can't just go in there and then not light the bonfire, right? Because there is still content. So I probably have to make some judgment calls in places like that where the border is really janky. It's less clear here with Draenor Manor because there's all these trees outside the manor. There's still content to do there. Same for the outside of this place. But here I don't think it was super necessary. Anyway, let's roll. Pray with me. You, future viewer, send your prayers into the past. I want something good. Please don't give me something bad. This only happens every 25 hours now. Okay. All right. I think this means I instantly reroll because there's nothing to do there. It's literally just now you go to Temporos. Okay. So Temporos is on the map, so I have to add Temporos as another rollable chunk now. That's all that's really changed. It just means I have to roll twice in a row to get it, more or less. Because I can't do anything on that boat. There's nothing there. There's just the guy who takes you to Temporos, so there's not even any reason for me to log in and clear it because there's nothing there. All right, one more roll. Now we can actually roll Temporos, which would be great. Hey folks, Future Marstead real quick. You may have noticed as I moved my mouse up to pick chunk that the Temporos chunk wasn't actually rollable there. I didn't realize that it wasn't rollable. I thought that when you go to tag a chunk like that, it automatically made it rollable. So I caught this immediately after the roll and fixed it for next episode. It would still have been an equal chance to roll all of the other chunks. I just screwed myself out of another chance at getting the Temporos chunk. Okay. I think I had this as a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. So the monastery chunk. The thing that's exciting about this guy is that we can finally do a wise old man task. Once we do the wise old man task, it's possible the next task we get is doable in a future cycle. So that's cool. Let's look at everything else in the monastery. 16 Black Knights. Woof. Dwarves are new. I don't know if they have any interesting drops, but I can take a look at it. I guess I can technically get into the Black Knight's fortress. Is it entirely contained? I think it's almost entirely contained within this chunk. I don't know that that helps me terribly much, but we'll see, I suppose. Some interesting spawns in the monastery. Unfortunately, I already have really good prayer equipment, so I don't really care so much about the monk robes in there. Any trees? That's gotta be an error, right? Those are all choppable trees, I assume. It doesn't show any trees here. Oh, 12 dead trees, but not any regular trees. So I have to figure out if they made a mistake. Oh, evergreens. Okay. 42 evergreens, though. I'd do that standing on my head. That's easy. This is required for Dragon Slayer. Oh, yeah, we're not doing Dragon Slayer anytime soon. That's a lot of chunks. That's a lot of chunks. Sadly, it doesn't let me complete any quests, I don't think. Because I definitely need some more quest points. And the game's not giving them to me. Okay, so yeah, that's a solid thumbs up. This is a good reason. This is a reason I don't put, you know, one of my fancy colors on there. It doesn't really change the status quo terribly. Next cycle is still going to be a lot of repeating stuff we've already done a bajillion times, but it is going to let us do the Wise Old Man task, and maybe we'll get a couple more interesting Wise Old Man tasks now that that's finally unlocked, like 30 chunks later. Thanks for watching, folks. It's been fun as always. I'll catch you next time. Bye.